I request all our guests who are still in the hall to please join us back. We will be starting the show in the next 2 minutes. Okay. So I'm going on stage. Shall I go? Should I start? If they are ready with the presentation. Welcome back after the lunch, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a great one. It's time for us to get back into the next pitch session and have more stories of more products and how founders actually aim at creating large-scale impact with a product. This pitch session, we are starting with Arms for AI. Arms for AI builds tailored AI-based geospatial solutions by leveraging multidisciplinary geospatial technologies to develop cutting-edge dual-use solutions to create strategic impact. Let's welcome the founder and CEO of the company, Jagriti Dabas, with us on stage. Use this mic. That's better. I think you want to be on the dais. I think there is some issue. It's not come on. 1 second. I can see it coming on. All right. I think the dais mic is on. Can we do a check here? I think the dais mic is on. Can we do a quick audio check here? The lights are flashing. Just see if they're working. Not yet. Okay. Would you mind using the handheld in that case? And this is your clicker. You need to use this switch to go ahead. The play button.
Hello everyone, this is Jagriti, founder and CEO Arms for AI, and here I have with me is Siddham Gaur. He's the Chief Operating Officer and we have been in college together. So it's a very tricky situation for a country like ours that holds a geospatial economy of 20,000 crores, and still we are wasting a lot of time, money and effort just to prepare the satellite data for analysis. And that's why we are developing Geo AI based and deep learning based platform to create the best automated approach for decision makers to actually use this satellite data well. So there are two major pain points in this industry: the amount of man-hours spent and data interoperability. For example, an amount of 30 crore and 100 months were spent just to create the building footprint data for the state of Rajasthan manually, and this did not include any analysis. On the second hand, when we talk of data interoperability, government agencies are being fed with 15 GB data per day from various satellite sensors having different properties. And in order to use them together, it needs to sit on top of each other, and that again requires manual georeferencing. But with the limited skilled manpower, the data remains unutilized, goes into archival, and it is causing a huge impediment on our timely decision making. Our main problem is the over-dependence on the manual processes, and even after putting massive infrastructure, cost, and time, we are still facing productivity and quality issues, and scalability in terms of the fact that in a single use case, we cannot process the large amount of data. It has been a challenge for a very long time. Market opportunity, as I just mentioned, India alone holds a geospatial economy of 20,000, and that's a massive figure. If we go global, it is an ever-growing opportunity that it was accounted for $58.3 billion in 2020. It's an ever-growing market that we are tapping at, an ever-growing opportunity that we seek for. As a solution, we are providing smart domain awareness and decision support using Geo AI-based platform. We offer comprehensive approach to manage the entire life cycle of the data in automated settings. Our product is a SaaS-based model, which is a Geo AI-based platform to provide smart image analysis and processing in one click that saves 70% of the time and effort. We leverage the full potential of the satellite data using artificial intelligence, and following are the listed stack of functions that we offer. Our competitors are also leveraging Geo AI-based technology for analysis part, and that is where we make the difference. We are enabling similar insights, but with a single window and a single click for a strategic impact, and we give the data integrated with the data preparation and data analysis as an end-to-end automated settings. Our target customers range from various government to enterprise to educational institutes to academicians. Basically, we want to cover the entire geospatial market. Reason being, directly or indirectly, our lives are affected by the geospatial intelligence, and that is why we want to cover the entire masses. Although our solution is sector agnostic, but our main utilities lie in defense, agriculture, renewable energy, and retail sector. And to support the same, we have developed the organic business model for the sustainable growth, and we are using the most emerging revenue model in the geospatial industry, that is the subscription pay per use, to attract the masses. Because for the people who cannot afford more, and you do not want to use the entire stack of functions, can use this model and enjoy the functions they want to use as a single tool as well. Currently, what we have done, we have raised 7.5 million INR as a funding, 50 lakh from the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, and this is under VHub, the Telangana-based incubation system. We are incubated there, followed by 25 lakh seed fund scheme by the NGIS and STPI, managed by Pontaq, of course. We are under NVIDIA Startup Inception Program. We have successfully completed our first POC with IB for automatic aircraft detection, and the letter of recommendation is also next. We were amongst the top 15 startups in the cohort with the Nexus ACIR Startup Incubation Program in US Embassy. Our major revenue potential sector is for the corporate and enterprise as 60%, followed by B2G customers of 30% in government. And last section is my favorite spot of 10% for the academics and research past, because I am from a research background. The USP we have is that we know how to use the data. Data has been there in this country for a very long time, but how to actually use this data, the domain expertise and experience that we bring on board is our USP. This kind of a unique, easy to use, accessible platform is what our catch is. That is solving the root cause problem for everyone that actually uses the satellite image, be it in a small number or in a large number. Key moments post our first funding. We have been in bootstrap mode before that, but post January, we have we have been in the Chunauti 2.0. We were amongst the startup delegation in Dubai Expo 2020 by Innovate India. There we got the opportunity to pitch in front of the global investors in a session of Elevate 16. We have made the MOU with Anant Technologies, that is the first space-based technology company in India for automatic building footprint extraction. We have also been selected under various government challenges like IDEX Open Challenge and IDAPT Hub, which challenged by IIT Banaras Hindu University. The roadmap that we are currently following is that Our first prototype will be out by the end of the June, and most probably we would like to roll out our beta version of the software in September. And post that, we will be adding more modular utilities in our software, like spatial indices, road extraction, and more use cases. And we have a projected revenue of INR 50 lakhs by the end of year 2022, and major customers will be as follows. We are the founding team, myself, Jagruti, founder and CEO. I am a researcher by heart, steadfast entrepreneur, and I love applying research and development to actually how to give the research component back to the society. So what I follow is lab to land approach, and not just in the lab. So that's how we came up with this business. And my partner, Siddham Gaur, we have been together in college, and he's an expert in urban planning and geoinformatics, and he holds the management capabilities in geospatial industry. We are looking to raise $1 million USD as a bridge round as of now, and total funding required we have is for 2 years is as follows. This is the letter of recommendation from IB, and in the end, I just want to conclude by the fact that this is a very well thought out product by having interactions from various players in the entire industry, being the lowest in the hierarchy and the topmost player. This is actually the need of our, as this was also mentioned by our Prime Minister in his Karam Yogi mission, that right now is the time to use the potential of the satellite data, and that's how we can change everything around. This will bring the paradigm shift on how Indian economy perceives the geospatial technology and put us on a world geospatial map. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jagruti, and all the very best to you. Moving on forward to a company which is a new age digital technology solutions company focused on being the intelligence behind every city and is addressing the global smart cities and communities market. It provides a comprehensive, customizable, scalable platform that helps cities and communities to proactively predict and solve social, economic, and environmental problems. Now, how is that being actually done? To learn more about that, we have with us Mr. Anand, who's a co-founder of EcoProcess.
Very good afternoon. My name is Anand. I'm a co-founder and CEO of EcoProcess. It's very interesting that we started this company. So we both co-founders were playing tennis together, and so one was working for Samsung and I was working for Apollo Group, and we were having a common thought process of how do we change climatic environment. So I was working behind the scene on the initiative for the group, initiative for the energy efficiency, and that's how we started a company called EcoProcess, which is mainly eco-friendly process integrating sustainability. So we are a new age green technology company. We provide comprehensive, customizable and scalable solutions for socio-economical and environmental problems. We have developed our own platform called Rubix, which is an API agnostic and AI enabled platform, which we integrate multiple device level sensors and IoT enabled products and cater to energy efficiency industry and smart cities currently. Our products mainly are smart poles, smart street lighting controller, smart displays, environment monitoring sensors, EV charging, and energy management systems. So currently, we have been able to focus in the industries like glass manufacturing companies. We are working with iron and steel companies. We are working with multiple packaging industries where we are helping them to bring down their energy bills dramatically. So one of the areas that, as a energy efficiency, we used to do a lot of work with the state government. We started doing smart street light controlling and start doing energy efficiency by saving electricity for the BDAs and BESCOMs. So we did saved our first project 47% of electricity, and that's how we got an idea that while we are doing a lot of work in the energy efficiency side, there's huge opportunity in the smart city side we got into. So in the year 2018, we saw there's a huge lacuna in the smart city solutions providers area. So one of the area, like you would have seen, our smart street lights today is depleted. Nobody is monitoring enough of data which is available. Security, surveillance, everything is independently working, and nowhere that that department is able to get the data in a single window. So and also there is a huge clutter which is actually in most of the matured countries and in the countries like ours, if you see the difference, there is a significant impact on the way we implement on ground as well. So what is the solution? The state-of-the-art solution that we came up with idea is one integrated and future-proof product with multiple use cases. So we have manufactured a pole which has got smart street light, EV charging, Wi-Fi, AI-enabled surveillance, emergency call button, RFID-enabled utilities, automatic OH spaces, and environmental monitoring sensors. So, which actually integrates to the command and control center, just not only for the government entities, it is also for the industries as well, which they can monitor in a single window. So I'll just run through a small video, which you can connect what we have done so far. Yeah. So the biggest challenge that what we see today in the country like ours, just not about solution only, it is about delivering together is also a biggest challenge, because there is so much of dependencies. So what we have come across, this is one of the solution that which we have found is how do we actually do just-in-time process on ground? How do we deliver an integration with the multiple multi-tenant platform? Like, in each city, there are so many departments who are interconnected, but they are never connected in the on-the-ground aspects. So the command center first, prima facie, is the having the single window command center for all the departments. There are 14 departments in every cities. None of the departments actually talk to each other. That's where we see a lot of challenges in current growth in the country. So, but the way smart city has been adopted, so everything has to get connected. So these are some of the areas. So I'll give you some of the examples how command center been operational. So our cameras on the pole has actually helped multiple problems for the multiple departments like police department, traffic department. So we have been able to solve more than 110 cases, which is unsolved from last 15 years. So our AI-enabled surveillance can actually track using face recognition technology, like wanted or a missing person. So the recent case in Gangtok was a 15-year-old murderer actually was loafing around in MG Marg in Gangtok, and they could able to upload very recently the data, and he could able to get caught, and the department was been praised. Similarly, we connect with environmental data. We connect with the Wi-Fi hotspot. We connect with data of PAS and public addressing system. Yeah. So this is some of the locations where we are deployed, and currently we are working in 9 cities rather. And some of our appreciation letter from all the departments. Yeah. So our team is more than 15 people. We are working together, and our co-founder Mayankala unfortunately couldn't make it up due to medical emergency in the house. And Ramesh Murthy is a CTO who has been in the Accenture and Wipro, built solutions like Rubik's. Yeah. Our roadmap is, so far we have been able to deploy more than in 9 cities and generated more than $1 million in the last year. And we would like to grow from 10x from here. And by the year 2026, rather we would like to be called as the most reliable environmental data company than the manufacturing or a product company. So we are in the verge of raising $5 million, and our main purpose of this Connect today is customer acquisition in India, Europe and Africa, and Europe based, and obviously collaborate for learning and relearning. These are our clients, esteemed clients. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anand, and all the very best to you and EcoProcess. Moving forward, a very interesting startup that's working at empowering our homemakers. Tenvo aims to support homemakers to showcase their talents that can be converted into products and services and can be sold on a platform in their own neighborhood or extended neighborhood at a minimal expense. Please welcome Tina Jose, the CEO of Tenvo.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure everybody's kind of sleepy after the lunch. I'll try to keep it as crisp as possible. Just to give an introduction about myself and my partner, I'm new to the startup space. So every day it's like a learning, a lot of challenges, but it's quite interesting too. I'm quite experienced in the corporate space, having done sales, customer service, and call center management. As for my partner, he takes care of the technology bit. He has been into designing, development, and testing, and he's worked across boundaries. So he's the man behind the virtual machine that I have. So before going ahead, I just want to ask one question to everybody. Do you know how many women are sitting in this room? Just a ballpark figure is fine. 20%? Okay. Anybody else? Any other number? So we have around 15 women sitting in this room, including me and our MC. So which means it's around 15-16%. So close, yeah. So I just want to show some national data to you, just to, yeah. So I'm sure most of you will be knowing that the Indian women population is around 49%. So we have around 660 million women in India. But the interesting story I'm sure most of you would not have looked at is that we have only 21% who's currently working, which means 79% of the women in India are dependent socially and financially on their husbands or their parents. So we can probably remove a 25 to 30%, which is below 15 years old and above 65 years old. So if you remove that, we still have quite a bit of numbers who are still dependent. And we are talking about in India, which has high number of weavers, and we have multi-speciality products. As for the consumers, if you can have a look at it, we talk lots about sustainable living, eco-friendly, minimalistic living, natural made products, remove plastics. All these are talks which has been happening. At the same time, the awareness of people is on an increase. It is people want to go by the eco-friendly living. But really, is it accessible today? I mean, if you want to, in the rush of an hour, you just pick up something from the neighboring shop and you just go on. So why and how an opportunity is what I want to talk here. Data says that smartphone penetration is at a 56%, which is expected to go to a 1 billion by 26. We have an economic growth which is also on an increase at 37%. Obviously, the increasing power of humans, buying power of the humans. Employment is supposed to increase at a, supposed to go back. This is supposed to be a secret, sorry. Yeah, so employment is supposed to increase at a 10%. And we are still talking about 350 million women who are not working, who are still dependent, and that's what is the question. Anybody have any idea why this 350 million women are still not working? The question is, like, we have enough of platforms. There are lots of new avenues coming up. Prem spoke about 41% women entrepreneurs giving an opportunity. But still, we have 350 million women who still do not have a work, are still financially dependent. Why? Question to think about. I'll come back to that point again. So this is what we want to introduce. My Neighbor, a platform for the homemakers and the home-based business units. And for the consumers, it is a neighborhood shop online, virtually available in your neighborhood. That's what we wanted to introduce, and that's our brand name, My Neighbor. And who we are and why we are. So again, we did a little bit of research to understand the nature, the reasons for why women are not working. We spoke about the 350 million women who are still not really working and why they are not working. So some of the feedbacks which came in was that women are scared. Obviously, they have been at home for a long time. They have never been exposed. They are scared. There is no financial support, family not supporting, and they also felt that they cannot full-time get into the business, because business or work is a serious business. You have to be there maybe at least for 8-9 hours, and they say they want to take care of the children. They cannot be flexible, and that's why we bring in our platform, which is more savvy for the women at home to just do business to their comfort. So whether it is if one day if they want to do business, the next day if they want to take rest, or maybe for some reason if they can't do, they can just go offline. So we have built in all the needs of a homemaker into a platform, and that's for us. So a homemaker's, a marketplace in your neighborhood is for your anybody who wants to buy anything, know your neighborhood better, and you have had access to multiple choices. And of course, for your business, a kickstart to a new business, show your passion. It can be anything. It can be any kind of an experience or interest, or it can be any kind of a hobby which you have. Convert that into a product or service and then show it in your platform. Right now, we are ready with the product. Services will be coming ahead. So now talking about the 350 million, our aim is to bring in at least 100 million women to showcase their products in our platform for the public to buy. So before going ahead, I just want to tell one more point. So why 100 million of the 350 million? We want those women to at least, it is a slow process. It's going to be not a fast process for people to move into this platform, because the fear factor is there. Even today when we reach out to people, they say, no, not sure. The moment you talk about, let's say, tax bit of it, they're like, no, I can't get into that, those kind of details. But it's an organic process. We want people to come in, and I'm sure this is our dream and we will achieve it. So this is the platform. Like many of the apps that you would have seen, you have a public app where you can see all the products, whether it's food, fashion, and if they want, if any of the seller wants to add any new category, that also we kind of integrate into it. And the seller app is like any other partner app where they can decide on what category they want to choose, and they can choose a category and then add the products, and then that will be ready for sale. And the same product which is going to be there in the consumer app for people to buy, whether it's food. So for example, somebody who is a bachelor who's staying out of their native, craving for, let's say, some specialty product of their native or their mom, can be available from the neighborhood itself in a different city. So that's a specialty that we are talking about. So this is just to want to show you how we progressed. We kind of launched piloted in the month of Jan. By end of Feb, March beginning, we were at a 362 sellers. So this is the number, 362 sellers. So we have got a very good acceptance from the market. Lot of ladies gave very good feedback saying that they were looking for something like this where they can sell anything and everything. People were not looking at just food or any talent which can be converted. That concept was widely accepted, and currently we are at 803 sellers. We have just recently started into the space of consumers, so the sale is not really picked up because we are just getting there. So these are some of the campaigns that we did. So support needed, of course. So this is going to be homemakers, and obviously they are not buying products in bulk, and it's one by one knitted, or it's all handmade. So it is not a very cost-effective methodology for them, and tax plays a major role there. So can we support from the tax perspective is what I'm not sure if this is a forum where I can talk this, but this is something which we feel we need to get that support from the government to give some kind of rebate, so that out of the 350 million people, we have more of people getting into the platform to sell their products. And obviously we need more of women getting into it from the rural areas so that they can showcase their products to the urban cities and they can buy. And also, of course, the funding to reach the pan-India, which is also a requirement. That's all. Sorry? Okay, so this is our platform. Anybody would want to just have a look at it. You have a lot of products, already have a lot of products. There are around 1,700 plus products which is available, and you can just scan and use the products. Not every product is going to be available for outside Tamil Nadu, but there are quite a few interesting products which are available. You could have a look at it. You can just scan the code and download. Thank you. Any questions? Can I? That's all right. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and all the best, Tina and Sajid. Moving forward to the next startup that's all about making the lives of our farmers easier by providing innovative solutions for intercultural operations and solutions for modern and precision farming. Let's welcome Tukaram Sonawani, co-founder of Krishi Gati.
Hello. Good afternoon to everyone. So as you are able to see that, so on this screen we have mentioned the electric bull, okay, electric bike. So it's a very interesting story because till the export, till the getting ready the first prototype, we are calling it as a electric tiller. But when we are sharing the information about the product, so every time farmer are curiously asking us what it actually doing and where we have to use this. But surprisingly, actually one farmer from Marathwada region in Maharashtra, so he came with his, style. That might be you don't know the language of in Maharashtra local language. So he simply said to me, "Bhau ye kai banavla mane?" So at that aspect, actually, I told him this is the electric bull, electric bike. And then after that, he really not needed any single word from my side. So where it is useful, what that device will do. And from that day, actually, we kept the name of our product is electric bull, electric bike. So as far as if you are looking at our farming, the problem or pain point, so might be you all are, I mean, directly or indirectly associated with the farming, but really we don't know the farming pain points. When we, along with Sonal, actually we went down to our hometown during lockdown, that time actually we saw the problem that we actually saw the 25 years ago when we are doing the farming in our childhood. The same problem, so we are, I mean, facing in today's era in farming condition. So, and that because of the lockdown scenario, we got that opportunity. We 6 months actually we work out in the farm. We understood what is the problem, what farmer are saying. So just watching and observing problem, that not mean by understanding the problem. So ultimately we empathize the problem, and the problem is here. So today, so farmer are completely dependent on the drought animal and labor. So even in our countries, 130 plus, I mean, crores population, still farmer are seeking the labors. And this is a horrible situation when we are interacted with the farmer, when we actually work out in the farming. So same problem actually everywhere, in every state. That 773 number is, I mean, really the huge number. So in addition to that, 6.6 lakh villages in India. So in every village having a same problem, nothing difference. So in today's also, we are actually doing lot of operation with the manual and the drought animal only. And the most important that, so even we have the tractor and power tiller are available, some mechanization are available. But as soon as we are doing the seed sowing, so literally tractor will be the transport vehicle. So for next 3 months, 4 months till the harvesting of the food grain crop, so tractor literally not useful in a farming. So that's actually the, I mean, the scope where we can implement our innovations. So with that thought process, we discussed with the farmer, we interacted with the many farm field, and finally we got the solution. So this solution literally we have not built it. So this solution actually built by our farmer. So we have just listened carefully. We have applied our knowledge, engineering knowledge. We have just connected the dot, and finally the solution you can see here. And this is just a prototype. So final vehicle yet not released. So that directly farmer will get from the factory. So 100%. So pollution free, noise free. So most of, I mean, the effort that required during the farming, that completely removed with help of this electric bull. Even you can apply the auto mode. So you just keep your hand on the handles, just like a bicycle. Okay. So with the auto mode, the machine can able to, I mean, perform all kind of operation. This operation, stop basically. Okay. Can you back it? Pause basically. Just pause. No, okay, it's fine. Yeah. So this operation actually, whatever you are able to see on the screen, this operation is very crucial in farming. So this operation only drought animal can able to do. So even you have the labor, you cannot do it. Because adding the soil at crop root, it's very important. In October heat, to save the crop from the, I mean, the hot temperature, it's very needed to add the soil at the crop root. And after that, in around Diwali, might be you will face the climate change effect, that is a heavy rain. So during that soil healing operation can help to release the water from the farm. And because of this only one operation, farmer can able to increase the 25% overall yield in their food grain crop. And you might be aware about the food grain land in only India is around 120 million hectare. So in last week, Prime Minister has actually banned the export. So if farmer are getting the mechanization, farm mechanization on time, might be this will condition not needed in future. And definitely we need a huge food in upcoming year down the 50 year, so that we can, I mean, meet through the providing the farm mechanization at right place and at a right time. Because when we have started this the story, I mean the solution story, then we have just applied the simple thought to address that solution, and that is the axle-less technology. Because when we have interacted with the farmer, we came to know that, so why farmer are not got that solution? Because everyone is thinking on the, for holding the stability of vehicle, it requires the 4-wheel or at least 3-wheel with the axle. But when we have started axle-less, and then that problem actually we solve out. So with the axle-less technology, we have developed the first diesel engine vehicle, but later on we got the opportunity through the STPI platform, Center of Excellence Motion. Yeah. So this way actually, so this solution is useful for the weeding, soil healing, spraying, precision sowing, crop protection, crop monitoring, soil health protection, drone technology, autonomous technology, and intelligent vehicle. This all is nothing but the path of the Krishi Gati. And till now, so actually we have the achievements like filed the 1 patent, 2 design application, 1 copyright, and 5 trademarks. So almost 9 challenges we have won and secured the funding about 90 lakh. So also we got the inquiry from Pan India, about 1,000 farmer has already inquired us, and the most of, the players are interested for the dealer and distributionship. And very soon actually you will see this vehicle in the Maharashtra, the Maharashtra region with the maximum number, because government of Maharashtra already got ready the DPR for the Krishi Gati's electric bull, and very soon they will offer the 60% subsidy for this bull. So this is a current actually our requirement. We are seeking the, the funding, because we have the huge requirement, and the number is really huge, because as per the last year data, so only in India, so 12 crore farmer actually got the DBT benefit, and this is an official number. So might be farmer numbers more than the 12 crore. If you are looking the 0.01% penetration down the 3 years, still the scope is so huge, because rightly 21 tractor manufacturers are selling the tractor 8 to 9 lakh per year. Still, India has not crossed the 40% mechanization, and where actually we are, place our product into the segment. Actually, we are directly competing only with the draught animal and the labor. Indirectly, there is a, directly or indirectly, there is no competition. And we are happy if somebody are coming. So still, I understood, but this is very important, because only Krishi Gati belongs to the farming background. So, and these all are the, the very networker person, because if you are going to your hometown and telling that this is a important mechanization, so definitely it will directly help to the farmer. So as far as the Tamil Nadu concerned, we got so many inquiries from the Tamil Nadu and Telangana. Only Tamil Nadu has the 48 lakh farmer on record. So if Tamil Nadu government coming with some subsidy kind of things, or some, infrastructure or some supports, so definitely we will help to create the job as well as to create the impact, social impact. Because government of India already announced that doubling the farmer income, but state government and central government not able to increase the MSP from certain limit. So in that case, we need to focus on the reduce the operational cost, and that actually we are focused here to, and many the media coverages already we got. So if you are simply putting in your Google, so Krishi Gati's electric bull, you will easily find out what kind of mechanization we are providing. So most of, local newspaper also publish the news. They have translated the Better India story, and they have already passed on this message to the different areas of the India. So this is the backbone of our, the mentoring. So we are very fortunate that the big player of the industries are actually playing the backbone role for the Krushi Gati. So IVRAV having a 37-year experience in Maruti R&D. Then Ashok Chandak has the global Pacific, the strategy, marketing strategy developer, NXP, director of NXP Semiconductor. Then Randeep Khokar is also associate. Then Rashmi madam also, tested the vehicle physically, and she has the former director of the ARA. So, and this is finally our team. So Sonali and me actually founded this Krushi Gati Private Limited, and later on Dr. Neil Mani and Sachin Bondwe and Tushar had joined. So rightly we have the 10+ team member, and you can visit at the LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram or YouTube. You can easily find out or reach to us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tukaram, and all the very best to you for all the future endeavors moving forward towards a company that provides industrial, digital, and automation solutions, helping customers solve key enterprise challenges to achieve their goals with intelligent solutions. That's Max Byte for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome the CEO of the company, Mr. Ram Shankar CS.
So, good afternoon, everyone. MaxPet is started in 2016. From there, we got connects with Prem. I think we're working with Prem for more than 3 years. So, we are initial set of companies in Pontaq funds. We are like a set of 5 startups. We started with Pontaq. Now, glad to see 50 more added in Pontaq. So, congratulations to Prem and team and their hard work. So MaxPet, our focus is into the industrial deep tech, where we are solving the challenge of manual data entry. And even though a lot of robots are there for decades in industry, but still lot more opportunities can be robotized in the industrial segment. And the deep technology is going to one side, other side the skill gap is there. So these are 3 problems what we are working on. So implementations of these deep tech in industry, it leads a lot of consulting cost and implementation cost. So our goal is how to accelerate and make these transformations very fast. So that's what as a company we do. So we accelerate intelligent industries with the integrated solution of digital and robots, and we educate the companies. Okay, I think that video will not work. This is a PDF file. Sorry for that. So we have Byte Factory is our major product. It's a leading product. It has suite of apps for the manufacturing, like engineering, production, maintenance, energy, quality, logistics. It's have around 70+ apps, pre-built, ready to deploy apps, and which is available in 3D environment. People can easily navigate, zoom down from geographical map to the plant, to the factory, to the shop floor, machine level, they can navigate. The next is into the autonomous side, the robots. We are into the heavy industrial vehicle robotization. So for example, forklifts, pallet trucks, cleaning machines. So those vehicles with our autonomous technology, we make it like a driverless vehicles. That's our autonomous vehicle. And education, so there's a big skill gap in the industry, from management CEO level to the operator level to the students who are all coming out of the colleges with respect to Industry 4.0. So we have 2 programs. One is for the CEOs and VPs of the organizations. It's called Industry 4.0 Championship, which we are already doing through CII and Tata Sons for their companies. We also have a PG certification program from students and engineering professionals for their upskilling area. For the last 6 years, we have office locations in 5 locations from US, UK, Sharjah, Coimbatore, and Singapore. And we have our target segment is mostly automotive, defense, aerospace, oil and gas, and refrigeration and air conditioning company. Mid segment and above is our target customers. Already we have some good customers base, we have last 6 months we built our ecosystem to support our entire customer base. And I should thank Pontaq in each and every area, like from technology, COE, or community, or process, go to market. Pontaq has a little influence, at least in our networking and collaboration area. Okay, so our goal is to make the industry or the factory completely autonomous. Then by 2030, that is our goal. We are targeting certain focus verticals, specifically in the automotive tier 2, refrigeration and air conditioning. Defense components manufacturing companies is our target. So the goal is, the design team just configure the design and send it to manufacturing. In manufacturing, automatically the entire fabrication assembly happens and it ship it. So using our digital and robots technology, already with all our customers, we're working in this direction. As a goal, how to make a factory which can produce anything, and make the factory lights out. We cannot say humanless. It's light source factory with robots, and make the factory completely net zero energy based factory, and make the factory in a box so that it can even ship to Mars or Moon. So as a team, 5 of us, we're all classmates together. We studied engineering, then later went into different companies and started this company. Currently, we are 120 plus employees located majorly in Coimbatore, Mumbai, and other office regions. We have been also recognized by multiple forums and industries. I just got a message. We got a recently Great Place to Work award yesterday. So that's as a company now, we are in a scale-up mode. We are raising investment of 5 million and also looking for key senior talents in B2B area who can help us in growing a company. Our goal is the next 5 years to become $100 million company. And also looking for advisors who can help us in our growth. And I can see very good technology and startup companies. I can very well relate our partnership. I would like to touch with you and have the collaboration. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ram Shankar, for sharing all the details about your product with us. And next up, ladies and gentlemen, is a very interesting startup because it's working at the much needed cause, the crucial cause of reducing the carbon content in the environment by developing cost-effective and instant retrofitting kits for passenger three-wheelers running on internal combustion engine, thereby working on electrifying the existing auto rickshaws. How interesting. Let's hear more about Electromotion E-Vidyut Vehicles Private Limited from the CEO, Pulkit Jain. Hi, Pulkit.
Switch to this one?
Yeah, play button. That will be
This will be from previous
Just
one.
have to check. Yeah, I think it takes you back.
All right. Hi, my name is Pulkit, and I'm representing Electromotion E-Vidyut Vehicles Private Limited. We are based out of Raipur in Chhattisgarh, and we are doing our R&D in Pune in STPI CEO E-Motion. So this is my company. We are a group of engineering students, and the company is an offshoot of the Smart India Hackathon program 2018. And right after our graduation, we incorporated the company. We found through the hackathon that our product really has some value. Project rather really has some value, and we took on this journey to convert it into a product. So my co-founder is Bishwajit. He is he's an electrical engineer, and he has skills in finance and management of finance. Gaurav is our CMO, Chief Marketing and Sales Officer. He has good knowledge of sales. He's a mechanical engineer, and Surya Pratap Singh, our CEO, he has BTech in Computer Science and Engineering. We are mentored by Mr. Bharat Musaddi, who is the Chief Financial Officer at Mahindra & Mahindra, and Mr. Ivy Rao, he is ex-Senior Executive Manager at Maruti Suzuki India Limited, and also the one of the key founders of Siam in India. Professor Kalaspati Datta, our mentor and professor from college, and Mr. Anil Bhogesara, he's a general manager in the passenger vehicle unit of Tata Motors Limited. So so right after our this program, we went out and did some market study. We spoke to auto wallahs. So in fact, we used to travel by auto to our institution every day. And the fun fact is that in places, tier 2 cities like Ranchi, where I'm from, you typically share your, the front row of auto wallah with the driver. So you need to take some time out and you speak with the auto wallah, and you come to know that on an average day, they run about 90 to 95 kilometers. They make about 1,000 rupees a day, and half of what they make is they spend it on fuel. So about if they're making 1,000 rupees, they spend 500 rupees or $12, and $6 is spent on fuel. And that is the biggest challenge that we saw and the biggest pain point for our customers. So if you boil it down to the key 3 major problems, obviously auto rickshaws, as you know, are very, very noisy, and the older they get much more noisier. And of course, there's the pollution factor. It doesn't need any kind of explanation. So just to give you an idea, an auto rickshaw produces 300 kilograms of CO2. That's 3 tons of CO2, metric tons of CO2 annually. And if you have a CNG auto, that's having 59.1 kilograms of methane, which is a highly potent greenhouse gas that is emitted annually. And in addition, like I told you, auto wallahs, they are making $12, $13 a day, and half of they spend it on fuel. So if you look at the market size, there are more than 3.5 million auto rickshaws right now in service on Indian roads. And that's about 40% of all the commercial vehicles and over 50% of all the commercial passenger vehicles. And this market right now, the combustion engine auto rickshaw market in India is worth over 7.9 billion, which is out there for retrofitment. We want to focus primarily on tier 2 cities which have still not moved to CNG because of the high cost of setting up a CNG station. And our key cities that we are looking at are Raipur, where we are incorporated at, Ranchi, my hometown. And also we are looking to get into places like Tamil Nadu, in tier 2 cities like Kanyakumari. So in these tier 2 cities, you have around 10,000 auto rickshaws, give or take. And about 100 such cities in India which have such autos. And obviously, this market is really huge. And by the way, the product that we are making is not just for auto rickshaws, it's scalable to various vehicle types. And that is where our IP lies. So I'll tell you a bit about it. So we are the solution, we have a retrofitment kit, which is financially feasible. And we are going to give you a very reliable conversion. So it's not just any kind of a jugaad work. It's a really good amount of engineering that has gone into this. So this is the product in action. This is what we are doing. So this one video is taken fresh in Pune in our R&D center in STPI COE Motion. You see the retrofitment kit, the small thing at back, the silver colored one. So we can do retrofitting within 2 hours, and the performance and the load carrying capacity is exactly the same, or rather in some cases even better than a combustion engine auto rickshaw. And the top speed is 50 kilometers per hour, and with the current battery that we are providing, it can go up to 100 kilometers on a single charge. So so where we come in, we develop our own technology in the powertrain. So we have our own design of the gearbox, which we have patented. And we have our own driver information system, and we also have a diagnosis system. So since we are converting old auto rickshaws, some may be 5 years old, some may be 10 years old, but we need to assess and ensure that the fitment is proper. So we have our technology that ensures that the fitment is proper. After fitment, the technician can take it for a spin, and it's going to tell him if the fitment is proper or not. If not, it's going to suggest him how to make the changes in order to make the fitment proper. So we are going to sell the retrofitment kit directly to auto wallahs. The cost will be around $2,200. And we also get exclusive advertising space. Now the fitment kit can be financed through existing financing partners of the auto wallahs. And we are also working to bring in more financing partners and with the governments in order to make it finance for the auto wallah. So we have about 25% profit margin on sale of this, and we're looking at just 2,000 auto rickshaws if you're doing in a year. That's the starting point that we want to see at. We'll be making a profit of about 8.8 CR. That's gross profit over here. And additionally, we have scope for leasing out the advertisement space to advertisement companies as well. So just to look at the value proposition, if you are moving from a combustion engine vehicle, say a petrol vehicle, the auto wallah is spending 5.5 rupees per kilometer on fuel. That's $0.07. If you move to retrofitment, it's going to be about 2.69 per kilometer. And that is including the cost of retrofit. So if you're financing the kit, even including that cost, the cost per kilometer is going to come down to be 2.69 rupees. So it's a no-brainer if you are going to a retrofit. And if you buy a new electric vehicle, considering the cost of the vehicle, if you finance that, it is going to cost you 4.21 per kilometer. So it's still much more financially feasible to buy a retrofitment kit. And that means 51% more profit for the bottom of the pyramid group, which is the auto rickshaw driver. And obviously we have ample of opportunities even for the people who are doing the fitment. Looking at the competition, we have another e-rickshaw manufacturers, we have other people who are doing retrofits. For us, the cost per kilometer is lower than most of them. For some close competitors, our proposition that we are making our own drivetrain is our key, innovation and our key differentiating factor. And with the scales, I can even bring down the cost of the kit to a very large extent. So looking at the carbon impact, now even if the electricity comes from 100% carbon-based source, like if you have a coal power plant running the electricity, even then you're going to see 37% net decrease in CO2 emissions and obviously no tailpipe emissions, so no pollution in the cities. And it's only going to get down as we move more towards renewable energy. And obviously there is going to be no noise, it is going to be a very good ride quality, and we can extend the usable life of vehicles. So we don't need to scrap the vehicles, so you don't need to remove, because if you want to switch to electric, you cannot just take away all the vehicles from road today. You have to think of a way where we can smoothly transition to electric. So right now, with the help of Pontaq, we have been able to raise some funds and we have been able to hire more manpower. So right now we have about 4 employees. So, and in the next 4 months, we are going to launch the product. We're going to start with small pilots of maybe 10, 20 auto rickshaws. And by end of the year, we want to plan about 100 auto rickshaws out in the market. And for that, we need approximately 275,000 USD for implementing this. And we want to raise some investment along with some amount of loan for doing this. We want to work with smart cities and other cities, small cities, where they can finance this and they can help us scale to a very large extent. And just to compare it with making a new vehicle, you don't really, the challenge for us is not, scaling is not a challenge for us. We can easily do maybe 10,000, 20,000 retrofitment, but to set up a new production line for a new electric vehicle, it's going to take a lot of time. So RetroKit is the best solution over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pulkit for that. Now, founders, we're going to give these pitch sessions a break. Just 2 important announcements first. One, please don't forget to collect your photographs from the registration desk at the end of the event when you're leaving the venue. And also, we really need your video bites. So if you haven't given them yet, please make sure we have a camera team that's stationed right outside here, this hall. Go and give that video bite as and when you can. Thank you so much. Now, moving further, this brings us to unveiling of a very special platform. We at Pontaq, we work relentlessly at creating value for our founder family. So we thought of creating an ultra-resourceful platform to help you find collaborators, mentors, everything that you need to scale. To talk more about that, I would like to invite onto stage Mr. Prem Barthasarthi, Managing Partner Pontaq, and we're also being virtually joined by General Partner Pontaq, Mr. Mahesh Ramachandra, who had to be here but couldn't. He's joining us virtually from London. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Mahesh.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to join from London. Hope I should have been there. Thank you, Prem. Thanks for an excellent event. Over to you, Prem.
Thanks, Mahesh. I think the idea of the day one scale is something that we started talking about in terms of, yes, we are investors, but how do we add value from day one of investment? And the thought really kind of crystallized speaking to Mahesh, who is a serial entrepreneur, and he had his views of how to go about it. So Mahesh, why don't you talk about your journey as an entrepreneur and then how we went about it? Go ahead.
Thank you, Prem. Greetings from London. Miss being there in person. I had some travel issues, but as I mentioned, Prem and I had a lot of conversation about day one scale. You know that I'm an entrepreneur at heart and an investor by choice. It's important to scale at scale. You are as good as how many customers you service. Inspired by none other than Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, past President of India. I returned from the UK in 2008. I live with my family in Chennai and I'm now in London. But since 2008, the business I started in financial inclusion, providing banking services to the millions of villagers, has spread over thousands of villages across most part of India, using 4,500 plus feet on street village level entrepreneurs transacting over 1.7 billion every year. This experience has also made me humbler and has given me a purpose. the purpose to be a social entrepreneur, an investor in startups that come from tier 2 to 6, where more than 50% of Indians live. What do entrepreneurs need to succeed? Funds, of course, mentorship, and ability to reach customers. Best way to bring cash flow into the company. Here we are giving access to Bharat at scale. Thanks to you, Prem. Back to you.
Thanks, Mahesh. So we are giving access to Bharat at scale, but the more and more we talk about it, we also need to innovate, working with innovators like yourself. So we said, okay, what can we do more? And it was a very simple thought process around how do we add value to your top line and also to your bottom line? As simple as that. So some of you have already been aware of this Day One Scale platform, a platform where we previously had access to about 30,000 villages, and where you don't really need to kind of spend your money to kind of deploy your sales resources or conduct market research. Everything is on cost. So we are actually preserving your working capital, and also most importantly, preserving our own founders' shareholding. So especially in times where things are going to be tough. And then the more and more we thought about it, you needed a lot more. I mean, so one is in terms of your benefits for your employees, for yourself, and also for your own business assets in terms of how you insure them and how do you go about that. And then most importantly is the content and digital marketing. What can we do about it? Because that's an important part of every single business. And also the other one is recruitment. We all need to have the right skills at the right price point and also a much reduced cost base. So what we have actually brought to you is a much more richer Day One Scale 2.0 platform. We will continue to improve. There's a lot of benefits for our portfolio businesses. We will help you scale to 30,000, 35,000 locations at zero cost, only on success, conduct market research, insurance, recruitment, and content marketing, and digital marketing at subsidized cost through our partner network. So on that note, let me take this opportunity to launch Day One Scale 2.0. Can we have the video, please? So all the portfolio companies, please make use of it, and together we grow. Thank you. Thank you, Mahesh.
Most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prem, and thank you, Mr. Mahesh, for joining us. Moving further, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting with the next set of pitch sessions. Now, last few years have really outlined the need for cybersecurity in our country, the need to strengthen the cyber defense against cyber threats in our companies. So here we introduce a startup to you that's been making waves in the cybersecurity space, being an end-to-end cybersecurity platform. Let's learn more about SecureTech IT from Mr. Pontaq Desai, co-founder and CEO of the company.
Hi, better this way? Okay. Hi, this is Pontaq Desai, co-founder, CEO of SecureTech. We are an enterprise cybersecurity company headquartered out of Mumbai. Anand and I started this company. Anand is the former CEO of Symantec South Asia. That's where our security chops come from. And Arvind is the former VP of engineering for McAfee. So between two of them, they've been able to create a portfolio of products and technologies that have differentiated in the market. My background has primarily been sales and operations. So all of us here probably are on the wrong side of the 40s. We are about 30 plus years in the industry. So good to see a young crowd out here. And just kind of gets me thinking, why did I start my own company much earlier than what I did? Again, so about 400 plus people, 100 plus customers. We operate in about 7 countries, and some of the best customers in the industry, some of the best names in the industry are customers. So this, I had actually a different deck that I prepared for this, and then started thinking through the entire day, and I got a chance to go to Google and I just typed Pontaq Portfolio Day, and this is what comes up. Right, so this is Sri Arvind Kumar's speech. There was a Pontaq live as we speak. It's getting live YouTubed. There are snapshots of us founders on social media. So the amount of footprint that we live on the social media, on Google, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn is enormously high. And that's a fodder for the attackers. So what happens today that if I'm an attacker, and specifically if it is triggered around an event. So let's say if I'm Prem, I have to be very careful today because Pontaq Portfolio Day is out in the market. There's a lot of tweet and accounts going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if an attacker who's harvesting your information sends out a note to Prem or Mahesh or any of the Pontaq team saying that, hey, it was great to see you at the Taj and, amazing event. And here are some bunch of photographs that you would like to have you to look at, right? So that's what happens. Attackers will capture strategic information about you, and these are not individuals, these are AI bots. So there's no physical individual sitting and scouring the net. So there is no one in Ukraine or Russia or North Korea doing that. It's actually AI bots that will be doing that activity, scouring the net, getting the information, converting it into a contextual email file, something that comes to you. And it targets you. Because it is contextual, it is linked to it. So today I'm speaking here, let's say there's a video being taken about me, there's a photograph taken about me. I get an email saying that, hey Pankit, you had a great speech today here, and here are some photographs. I will end up clicking onto it, right? That's what happens. You click onto it, it downloads a piece of software, and then I go back to the company, connect my laptop to the company network, and that malware now has a free run in your entire environment. It keeps moving from machine to machine, under the guise of the attacker who basically wants you to identify a strategic asset. So if I'm in the previous speaker who spoke about electric vehicles, there's an IP set, he's filed patents. If I'm an attacker, I'm going after the patents. If I'm in fintech, I'm going after customer information. If I am in pharma, I'm going after the recipes that might be existing. So what is critical to me is what I go after. You access the data, you can potentially encrypt it, you can exfiltrate it, any of the above. And at the end, it's about a 9-step process. That's how typical attack happens. And there are a variety of them that can happen in the market space. Today, the way it gets solved, if I was in the security industry, the way it gets solved today is asking someone to buy a series of point products for users, for devices, for networks. At all places, you are supposed to buy, implement, manage. And most of us as founders, as entrepreneurs, we may know our business, but we don't know the tech behind it, right? So the idea here is that it becomes so complicated that life is almost impossible for you to figure out from a security point of view. So what we said is that can we simplify the entire process of security? Can we make it more accessible, democratized in the way it gets used in the market space? So we came with a technology which is a cloud platform that cuts across your entire enterprise. We have the ability to look at top-down. So this is the enterprise view of security, ability to look at the complete enterprise, be it your cloud infrastructure, with your on-premise applications, data center, doesn't matter wherever it is. I will be able to tell you through XDR if there's an attack happening in an environment. There's a bottoms-up view, which is all about devices and users, ability to look at security from a device or a user perspective. So going back to the same use case, if you were using my technology, between these 3 products, you would have been able to prevent that attack. So the idea here is to make it simple, make it easy to use, make it accessible and financially viable for customers to implement security technologies. As I said, we collect data from across several different sources. Last year, we processed about 1 trillion transactions on the platform. We prevented 50,000 attacks across our customers. That's the power of the platform that we have created. We basically look at combining multiple different technologies and try and simplify the entire user experience that the customer may have. So traditionally what happens is you have a product that is sold through a reseller, there's a distributor, there's an implementation partner, hosting partner, a bunch of agencies make the product work. Idea with us is that we offer the product, the platform, the technology, everything, so that from a customer point of view, it becomes very easy and simple to use. Bunch of customers, so from a banking segment, HDFC, Axis, RBL, Sun Pharma, Biocom, DFAT. So we're very proud to have some of the best names in the industry for whom we protect and manage. Growing very well. We will close this fiscal at somewhere around 7-8 million ARR, looking to do about 15 million. So having scaled substantially well over the past few years. And what we are looking for, we're looking to raise funds. We're looking to raise $15 million. We've raised $5 million so far, looking to raise $15 million. Our big push is to grow internationally. So my partner right now is based in the US. We're looking to grow in the US market. So any help and support that we get there is most welcome. I'm running out of the clock here. Happy to answer questions. And at the same time, please be safe. You're creating a lot of IP. Let not some hacker steal it for you. Thank you.
Thank you for that very crisp presentation, Mr. Pankit. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about WaterBot, a modular Internet of Things platform with compatible hardware and a cloud software that can be integrated with any OEM application for operations and maintenance. The product includes remote monitoring system of utilities and intelligent retail by converting any vending machine to smart vending machine. Let's understand in detail from Chief Business Officer of the company, Mr. Prabhu S.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Pontaq, STPI, for this opportunity. I'm Prabhu. I'm co-founder, CBO, Refillbot. Refillbot is actually a brand, but the company name is WaterBot Online Solutions. There's a lot of thing that is talking about water in our company and what we do. So let's get to that. But before that, a brief introduction about what is Refillbot. Refill is about we refill your infrastructure with technology, and bot is about automation. So how we do that across industry and why we have picked water as because water is one of the biggest industries right now to solve problems and a lot of challenges there, and how we are doing that for private enterprise and as well as for the government. Let's see through. Quick introduction. So we are two co-founders, Savitri and myself. We have built a startup before, 500 million revenues and 500K revenues, 100,000 customers we have acquired. And then we have command experience. We have worked across Fortune 500 companies. So we are based out of Bangalore, and brand is Refillbot, and then WaterBot is our registered entity. Vision and mission. So primarily we are focusing right now on water, though the platform is modular enough to cater to different utilities and different applications. But the vision is to accelerate digitization of water infrastructure across rural and urban areas. Why rural specifically? Because the platform works with and without internet. You know, though that IoT is about Internet of Things, but then a lot of places, even across rural areas, you know, especially in rural areas, you do not have internet access. So how do you digitize that infrastructure that's set up at rural areas, especially for the water monitoring, water purification, water usage? So how do we fulfill this vision? How do we make this vision? How do we implement this? By simple enablement of remote management or remote view of your entire infrastructure, including your purification, consumption, water quality monitoring, with or without internet through a unified cloud dashboard. So some of our key customers and partners, we have Government of Karnataka, Coffee Day, Body Shop, and then a few beverages companies. Tata Beverages is a new customer that's going to have a pilot now. On the communication side, we have Airtel, Tata Global Communications, and then Arrow Electronics. We have three product lines, mainly on the remote monitoring system, and then we have an unattended retail, which is Refill Pay, and then the Refill Box is, we just filed a patent for that. So this is going to be a sustainable packaging for e-commerce companies, especially, you know, right now we have so much of packaging waste that has been created. So this is going to be a completely revolutionized packaging product that will help remove your packaging waste and help e-commerce companies save cost and at the same time deliver products in a more secure way. So remote monitoring for water at rural and urban water management. I'm just going to take a case study and talk about it. So what we have done for Government of Karnataka, so essentially government spends thousands of crores amount of money, for setting up water infrastructure. Right now on your tables, what you see is, you have a pretty Bisleri labeled quality assured water, but if you just travel 50 kilometers out of Delhi, that's not the scene. The water is not, accessing water itself is a challenge, but then what is the quality? Is it potable? Is it safe to drink? How does that work, right? And though government has set up infrastructures to sort of filter that water and make it, pump it to the individual houses, but then government had really a less visibility in terms of what is the quality, what is the consumption, is the infrastructure working or not? Because all of that infrastructure is operated by O&M companies, operational and maintenance companies, but government had less visibility. This is where we bring in the RefillBot platform connects and digitizes the entire water infrastructure and helps government to monitor in terms of the quality, operational status and so on. Especially in the pandemic, it was a big challenge for them, for not just for the government, but then for all the entire manufacturing and infrastructure companies, how they could actually remotely manage their infrastructure. Because in lockdowns, if you're a software company, pretty much you carry your laptop, you go home, you start working business as usual, it runs, nothing stops. But then for a manufacturing company, for an infrastructure company, how could they remotely do it? They couldn't, absolutely. Everything just halted. So that's where we bring in the digital transformation for private and government enterprises. Right now we are live across 100 villages in Karnataka, deployed across 2 districts, 7 taluks. And it pretty much monitors the water quality and as well as the consumption and the operational status. To give a perspective, it's not just on the quality aspect or on the usage aspect, it actually saves a lot of spend for government as well. For example, just to give a ballpark, Karnataka government spends about 2.5 crore annually to audit the infrastructure manually, on a human-based interaction. So that whole thing is all digitized now, and they don't have to spend that amount because all of that data is visible in terms of the operational quality and what's happening at the ground level, available remotely through a cloud dashboard. Our case study is globally published, across US, UK, Asia Pacific, UAE as well. It's a completely in-house built-in product, designed from scratch, proprietary. We have an expansion plan. Now we are approaching Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and with the help of Scale One, that just Prem mentioned about. So we're going to leverage that a lot, Prem, because we definitely need a lot of feet on the street in order to do implementation and a lot of surveys in terms of the feasibility, installations, and so on. So impact and the outcome, digitization of your infrastructure, it could be water, it could be any utility. It improves health, of course, when it comes to the water, it improves the quality and so on. Efficiency and cost savings for both government and private enterprise. And then it generates employment in terms of, we are going to train them how to operate the infrastructure at the village level. For example, right now, we are live on 100 villages. It's going to be scaled up for 21,000 villages across just Karnataka. So imagine the impact that we would have when we scale across India. So the required support wherever, we would like to expand in terms of the grants, it could be workplace, it could even be subsidies, tax exemptions, and so on. That would help us to go to different states and set up our operations and so on. And the grants especially are going to help us in terms of initial trainings and the investments that we do. And the investments, the grant that you give, it would actually come back to the government itself because we would create a lot of employment opportunities and so on. Thank you. Any questions? These are the coordinates. You could reach out to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu, for that. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, next up is a very interesting startup because it makes autonomous underwater vehicle and unmanned aerial vehicle for inspection of civil structures, industrial containers and pipelines, and ocean monitoring, that too at a reduced cost. That's Courasia for you. To learn more about that, let's invite onto stage Mr. Devendra Pradhan, co-founder and CEO of Courasia. Hello, Devendra.
Hello. Excuse me. How to move forward? Okay. Hello everyone. I am Biswa Swain, co-founder of Courasia Technology. Along with me, we have our founder, Mr. Devendra Pradhan. So, we are a team of alumni from NIT Rourkela, formed this company named Courasia Technology. With an intention to enhance the resilience of our infrastructure like dams and bridges and industrial containers by developing sustainable technologies like autonomous underwater vehicle and remote operated vehicle. And we are not only limited for product development, we provide end-to-end solution like consultancy services as well as customized products. Coming through the problem that we are facing, our India is facing. In last Central Water Commission report, India has reported around 9 major dam failures, and all the failures has happened due to lack of maintenance practices. And the lacuna that is there, that is due to the existing solution that is inefficient and outdated. We are engaging manual divers for doing the inspection work, and they have a certain limitation that they can go up to a certain limit, and they have to carry a limited amount of oxygen. So they have to go up and down continuously for doing the inspection, which makes it very difficult. And we all know the underwater environment is hazardous for human health, and the existing solutions are not cost effective. They are quite expensive. And the data reporting platform that they are using is like, as shown in the figure, it's like stacking in files, and we are not able to access those data. So as a company, we provide solution in inspection like civil structure inspection like dams and bridges, industrial containers for monitoring oceanography, topography monitoring, and the services we provide to our asset owners, like our service is innovative, it is cost effective, efficient, and it is digital. And the inspection solution, the current version of robot is shown. We are using 2 robots, and we are doing the visual inspection, sonar-based inspection, laser-based inspection. So the value proposition to our customer is we assist in taking data-driven decision for efficient forecasting. Like if people are from civil background, then they know that for doing the concrete health monitoring, we need NDT. And we are in a process of filing a patent on that. It is completely autonomous NDT process. Our product is customizable. It depends on, it varies from customer to customer, and it gives accurate data. And we don't need to shut down our industry for carrying out the inspection work. Yeah. So this is the POC that we are conducting at SAIL Rourkela. And we are actually doing the sluice gate inspection of that dam. And they have a problem that they are not able to close the dam for the sluice gate from last 2 years. And we have got some visual data here that at the top right corner you can see some major scratches and broken parts of that dam, as well as the rusting at the bottom. So those are the things we are currently carrying out the POC at SAIL. And after that we have 2 projects in pipeline, and we have in discussion with government of Odisha for conducting the entire dam inspection of Hirakud. And we are open to work in other states also, like Tamil Nadu and Telangana. Coming to market size, the current market size is around 11 billion USD. And in India, there are around 5,000 major dams and 1,35,000 river bridges. So it's sums around 100 million USD market size for us. And the CAGR is around 12%. And these are some grants appreciations. We are awarded as one of the top 100 startups in UK India Tech Startup Challenge. Recently we came winner in NXP Tech Startup Challenge 2022. We are winner of Chunauti, and there are other several competitions we came winner. And this is our team. We are a team of 14 member people. And in 3 years, we are planning to expand to 100 plus member team. Yeah, thank you.
Devendra for keeping his short and crisp. Moving further, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Wonder Quill, a startup that's trying to do something quite unique. It's an online community platform that brings avid readers and writers together to read, express, share, engage, and connect. We have the co-founder and CEO of Wonder Quill, Asta Singh, with us to talk more about it. Play button you need to figure out. Just this. Don't press this green, this green. This one. I just have to click on it.
Hello everyone. Muser is an online community platform for authors. We help them to improve their writing skills, and we also give them access to peer community. Speaking about the problems, the first one is that the regional writers face a lot of challenge in showcasing the work, because most of the existing platforms are either English oriented or Hindi. In the existing platform, just a minute, I need to go back. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, in the existing platforms, the crafty algorithms make it impossible for the newer writers to showcase the work, because these algorithms, they prefer paid content over organic content, or they want users to spend a lot of time to create their profile. Both these processes are pretty tedious for the authors, and in this whole process, they give up on writing altogether. The existing platforms also do not have a meaningful community. When the people write, they want to express themselves. They want to talk more. And that is something that is not existing on the platforms present. The answer to the problem is Muser. Here, the users can express themselves. They can write anything and everything they want to, right from very short content to very long content. And they can do all this in 12 Indian and 5 global languages. Languages for us are not just a medium of expression. They are also a way to keep yourself rooted to your, you can go back to your roots with the help of your language. So through Muser, we are aiming to bring people back to their roots, not just the ones living in India, but also the ones living abroad. We do not only provide users with a platform to showcase their work, but we also help them improve their skills through our AI-driven tools. As I said, community is a very big part that's not present in the existing platforms. And we at Muser have built micro communities for the people present on the platform. They can interact with each other without any fear of judgment. Our unique AI ML algorithm filters content based on quality and quality alone. What do I mean? I mean that if yesterday also you joined the platform and you wrote a piece of content, you will not have to wait for n number of days for your profile to grow and your content to be showcased to other. If the quality of the content is good, it will be showcased to the people immediately. The customer value proposition, why the people love us, is because we are the first platform in the content industry to gamify the whole process of content writing. Whatever you do on the platform, you earn something. We organize writing competitions to help people hone their skills and also come out of their comfort zone. We have features like streaks, which are very helpful for the people who do write but are not very regular at it, and they need help to keep them on track. These are some of the screenshots of our product. If you can see, our app is very clean, sleek, and minimalistic, and is at par with the industry standards. Speaking about our traction, we launched our app in June of 2021. It's been 1 year. It is incidentally our birthday month as well. And in 1 year, we have gotten 90,000 installs, and we have generated 45,000 plus pieces of content. Now, this content is original content which is written by the people on the platform, and they spend 18 minutes and 20 seconds on an average every day on the platform. We think that this is the most appropriate time for a platform like ours. The reason being that the creative economy is on its boom and has reached $104 billion. In the next 5 years, 1 billion people will identify themselves as creators. So being a creator is going to be a real job. And on top of everything, the lockdown and the COVID thing has helped our industry at least, because people have gone back to reading and writing. So there has been a huge increase in the people who now read and write online. Our business model is divided into 3 parts. One is the transactional one, wherein people will be paying for review services and translation services. Apart from that, there will be subscription services, wherein people will be subscribing to clubs. And the third one is a big one for us, wherein we are also creating a micro community for businesses. They can come, they can microblog on our platform, and also they can showcase their products to the audience which is present on our platform. So it is going to be a win-win for both. Right now, we want to focus at growing our community to 5 lakh people, and we are aiming to generate a revenue of 26 crores in the next 4 years. Speaking about our achievements, we are standing here because of the 25 lakhs that we got through Pontaq. So big thank you to Pontaq for that. Apart from that, we also got elected into Reliance Jio GrowthPad program. To throw some light on the Jio project, Jio has come up with Jio Books, which is an Android-based laptop. They are priced low and are actually very good for, they are priced in a way that they are excellent for students and college-going kids. And Jio being Jio, they aim to sell 100 million devices by the end of this year. They have chosen us to build an app for the Jio store, and they will be marketing our app for free. So this would mean exponential growth for us, and the critical mass that we were speaking about of 5 lakh people, we hope to achieve it by next year with the help of the GeoBook project. Our ask is 2.5 crores. We will be utilizing the funds mostly in launching in iOS, and we want to also launch in US and UK market, and apart from that, we want to build a strong team. Speaking from the product perspective, we want to transition from Web 2 to Web 3, and we also want to introduce copyright protection using blockchain. A bit about me. My name is Astha. I am the CEO, and I have 6 years of industry experience. I handle the business, marketing, and operations for Muser. And I have my co-founder Uday Aditya Barua with me. He is the CTO, and he handles everything that has to do with product and tech. And he has 13 plus years of experience. Thank you so much for having me here. Have a great day.
Thank you, Asta, for detailing your product out so well. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, towards a commendable step towards using smart technology to improve the education landscape across rural India. That's Skoogling for you, a hybrid model consisting of an online platform to improve learning outcomes and an offline foot-on-the-ground smart classroom network to assist rural students using these technologies. Let's welcome co-founder and CEO, Mr. Himanshu Agarwal, to learn more about it.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम हिमांशु है और मैंने सन 2000 में आईआईटी कानपुर से बीटेक कंप्लीट किया है। पिछले 6 साल से मैं ग्रामीण भारत में गुणवत्तापूर्ण शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में काम कर रहा हूँ। At Skoogling, it is our vision to provide access to affordable quality education using a tech-driven blended model of learning with localized vernacular content. There are 3 keywords that I would like you to take away from this presentation: accessibility, affordability, and quality. Why are these 3 still important today in 2022? Globally, there are 1.5 billion K-12 students. Unfortunately, 40% of them, which is 600 million students, still don't have basic skills of reading and mathematics. And interestingly, 2/3 of them do go to school. अगर भारतवर्ष की बात करें तो भारत में आज 26.5 करोड़ बच्चे हैं जो स्कूल जाते हैं। इसमें से 85% बच्चे रूरल इंडिया में हैं। भारत में आज 15 लाख स्कूल हैं, इसमें से 10.5 लाख स्कूल गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स हैं। आउट ऑफ दिस 1 लाख प्लस स्कूल्स आर सिंगल टीचर स्कूल्स। One single teacher is teaching all subjects, all grades. Of the remaining 4.5 lakh private schools, there are only 23,000 CBSE affiliated schools and only 3,000 ICSE schools. The rest are all affordable private schools. At Skoogling, this 85% segment is our focus area. These kids go to schools, either government or private, which have failed to deliver. Parents at home cannot guide them, cannot do problem solving for them. Today, online edtech is a big space. Unfortunately, the online solutions are either inaccessible, unaffordable, or just do not meet the learning requirements of these students. So they all end up at local mom and pop tuition centers, which starkly lack in quality. This is the gap that Skoogling is fulfilling today. We have a tech-driven blended model of learning in which we have divided the learning graph of a child into 4 verticals. The first vertical is content, which is completely vernacular and localized. The second vertical is the medium of delivery, which is our vernacular apps, which not only delivers content to the child, but also collects feedback. The third vertical is the environment in which the child is studying. It could be a blended mode 4G enabled smart classroom, or it could be an app. What is important for us is to collect 360-degree feedback and monitor every single function that is executed in this classroom using a tech solution. For example, whatever is taught in our classrooms in a week, our system automatically identifies that. And in every single batch across every single grade, every Saturday, there's a 20-minute real-time test based on 10 objective questions, which identifies uniquely the learning gap of each child in the classroom. And within a couple of weeks, we are able to identify the bottom students in the class and able to work with them. The final vertical is the student herself, where we are working on building several patentable ideas around learning outcomes. In terms of our environment deployment, the first deployment is into what we call as the Skoogling grassroots centers, which are 4G enabled rural level smart classrooms. We have 25 such classrooms today spread across 4 states of UP, MP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. In the last second wave of pandemic lockdown, we launched our app onto the Google Play Store. Within 15 days, we saw 1 lakh downloads of the app, and so far we have crossed 7.5 lakh downloads with 1 lakh plus active users and 32 plus minutes of engagement time per child. We have also engaged with several government and private schools, and we have 103 such classrooms running across 4 states, covering nearly 1 lakh students today. In terms of a unit economics, the Skoogling grassroots is a B2C model where we charge the students between 300 to 500 rupees a month. The app is on a freemium model. It's free for 21 days and then 99 rupees a month. The Googling Smart Schools work on a subscription model. Over the last 4 years, our students have scored brilliantly. Last year, one of our students scored an 8th rank in the state of Bihar. And this year, a girl from a very remote place called Sulebetta in Gaya has scored an 11th rank in the state. The Anupur project was nominated for the Prime Minister's Award, and out of 902 nominations from 958 nominations from 702 districts, this project got the 3rd rank. In terms of attraction and revenue, we have grown year on year over the last 4 years, starting with a single center with 50,000 revenue. Last year, we grew to 12.5 lakh revenue with 25 centers. When we compare this with the unit economics that I shared earlier, we are very proud to say that we have achieved a fill ratio of 21.25% in spite of 2 years of pandemic lockdowns, schools being closed, exams being cancelled, and the child really not being interested in education. And that makes us very bullish on the upcoming years when we are looking at full academic years. The app is doing an average monthly revenue of 20,000, 1.5 lakh revenue last year. Overall, we have done 2.5 crore revenue till date. In terms of the market size, Indian education sector alone was a 117 billion market at the end of 2020. If we just look at the rural market segment, which is our current focus, 85% of 265 million students, which is 225 million students, each student paying just 300 rupees a month into 12 months. If you do the maths, that's $10.8 billion revenue currently going annually to local mom and pop tuition centers, which are so great that the MP board results just came out, and unfortunately more than 40% students in the state have failed. Their careers are down the drain. That is the state of education in India. If we just tap 10% of this market for Googling, we are looking at a $1 billion plus revenue in the upcoming years. This is a growth plan. We want to grow to 5,000 centers over the next 5 years, grow to 6 classrooms per center. By the way, our first center is already profitable as on date, and we have converted it to a 3 classroom model, also doing vocational courses like Python programming and Android skilling. With this, we are targeting $200 million revenue in the next 4 years, in the next 5 years, addressing the education needs of 30 lakh plus students. And this is just the Googling Grassroots Centers revenue. I have not even talked about the app here. In terms of the team, besides me, I have my co-founder Shantanu, who's a BE in computer science from VTU Bangalore in 2005. He's also received the Entrepreneur of the Year award from the Chief Minister of Bihar for his earlier startup. Besides the two of us, we have 2 very senior angel investors and advisors, Mr. Manoj Gandhi, who's an IIT KGP alumni and based out of Mountain View, and Dr. Pradeep Datta, who's also an IIT KGP alumni. He was the former managing director of Synopsys India. We are currently looking to raise $5 million to set up the next 200 grassroots centers, expand our tech and content IP, and also foray for the first time into franchisee-owned Googling-operated centers, which will give a hockey stick growth to our solution. With that, I invite you to be a part of a journey where we become the leading brand in affordable education. Thank you.
So I was just very intrigued by Himanshu because not once did he look at his presentation while presenting it. He knew the numbers like the back of his hand. So my question was, how many times did you practice? He said, we've already raised 1.2 million, so I know it by my heart. I don't need to really look at it anymore. So ladies and gentlemen, moving further, let me present to you perhaps the youngest founder in the room today. That's the founder of Sputnik Brain, Shankar, who's right here, building a high-tech brain modulation device and metaverse plugin that stimulates stress alleviation or pleasure to solve the $300 billion issue of crippling stress. So let's cheer for the youngest founder right here in the room, Shankar. Shankar, just be very sure that your presentation moves. This is your click. This is your click button, the play button.
Okay, and how do you do it before?
Yeah, just...
Great. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity. So we are at Sputnik Brain. We are building a deep tech or hard tech brain modulation device and metaverse plugin that stimulates stress remediation or mood elevation or pleasure. And this is towards a non-invasive and side-free chemical-free technology. And this is towards solving the $300 billion issue of disabling stress. When was the last time you were stressed out? Anyone? Like right now or before the presentation? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah. So the thing is, stress is an issue that everybody faces, right? Regardless of nationality, regardless of education, regardless of work experience. It's an issue that everyone faces. It's a thing of the human physiology itself, right? And the issue is it damages. It damages in terms of causing major issues like blood pressure, diabetes, chronic pain, mental health issues, sleep disorders, and so on and so forth. It damages your body, it damages my body, it damages everybody. The problem statement is that stress costs $300 billion to employees, and 1 in every 3 people are damaged by stress. It can kill brain cells, literally shrink the brain, cause high blood pressure, and also heart disease, and in the long term even affect the nation's economy itself, right? Yeah. So the effect of stress is basically a time bomb ticking to destroy the health, wealth, and citizens of every nation in the world. You and I are as vulnerable to the dreadful consequences of stress just as any other human, right? So there's an unmet need in the market. The alternatives that people have, antidepressants or alcohol or smoking or even any other form of solutions, the alternatives ruin us more. The inconvenient side effects and chemicals ironically cause more stress. And if you just leave it just like that, right, just neglect it, that is also going to cost and harm us immensely, right? So there's a toxic loop of stress without intervention, which causes even more stress. So the solution at Sputnik Brain, we're working on building a non-invasive, safe brain modulation device to stimulate certain reward systems in the brain on demand, unshackling you from stress. It's essentially elation or a delight between your ears. Nip stress in the bud instead of ruining yourself and save your body. It's a headset that you'd be able to wear, and through sending in safe waves to certain pleasure centers or regions in the brain which control mood, we are able to alter the brain regions, thereby causing neural membranes to oscillate, and thereby causing a stress alleviation effect. And this is like applicable across humans, right? Because different brain regions cause different emotions, right? These are physical hotspots which can be stimulated through an external stimulus. It doesn't matter if you do it through Facebook, Instagram, binge watching, having your favorite food, doesn't matter, winning an election, it doesn't matter which sort of mechanism you use, but the same brain regions become active. So the opposite is also true. When you send in impulses, safe, non-invasive impulses, you'd be able to stimulate mood elevation, right? And the human physiology is the same, whether it's our honorable prime minister or the young engineer at Adani or a middle-aged farmer, the human neurophysiology remains the same. And that's the reason it's such a huge opportunity, right? So these are some of the experts that we've had the meetings with. The co-founder of Neuralink, he told we're right. It has applicability for mood. We're along the right lines. And with GE Healthcare, very fresh use case even for them. With Google Life Sciences, so we had approached them for a collaboration, but things ended up in such a way that the exec there joined our team itself. So that was a huge form of validation for us itself. And across Bain Capital and few others, we have had a bit of validation as well from there. And we also are a part of Tata Group's DISC, this year's official cohort. We were selected among a cutthroat competition in the entire country. We are ultimately building a deep tech company to solve the deepest unsatisfied human need, giving access to the elation or mood elevation or happiness or pleasure in general at the convenience of a tap, to unshackle humanity itself from fatal alternatives by distribution to large-scale companies and celebrities. And these are some references published among top journals, including Frontiers and so on and so forth, on how happy is too happy, and how mood elevation and the technology that we're using, brain modulation, can stimulate different moods and also uplift the moods, right? And we make money by rental subscriptions to large-scale companies with brand integrations. A company a company has a corporate wellness budget of $10 million. Taking a 10% cut, we have about $1 million recurring revenue, right, per year. So that's how we're planning to make money. And our exclusive relationships on a B2B model placed conveniently at breakout rooms. And of course, the metaverse itself placed in the metaverse as a plugin. When people want to have the mood elevation, they'd be getting it at the convenience of a tap. The market sizing, it's a huge market because everybody is in some form stressed out. So if you look at the top-down analysis, about $390 billion. If you look at just the US and only specific companies, it's about $140 billion. And we are 28 people from 5 countries. This includes PhDs from IIT Delhi. This includes neuroscientists, accomplished neuroscientists from NIMHANS, an institute of national importance, one of the most reputed institutes of mental health and brain sciences in India. And folks from Reliance Jio, they're helping. Naren, who is a chief product. And he also has experience in GE Healthcare as well. And Nupur, who is a former researcher from AIMS, and I'm Shankar, the founder of Sputnik Brain. I'm happy to announce that I was the top 3 startup founders in the Métis National Level Grand Challenge, which was judged by IIT Bombay Sign, VIT, PSG Institute of Technology, and so on and so forth. So our key advisors, we have had the pleasure and privilege to welcome Mr. Arun Sridhar. So he was a former director at Galvani Bioelectronics, and he was also former head at GlaxoSmithKline, where he headed disease biology and R&D. And he was responsible for setting up Galvani Bioelectronics, and he raised roughly $700 million while setting it up, right? So we already have a $200,000 commitment from Jito Angel Network. We have a term sheet signed and everything is done. We still have $330,000 to meet. We are, of course, previously funded by IIT Madras and the Department of Biotechnology through the HTIC, IIM Calcutta and SCPI and the METI, of course. So 330K more to meet. And so the impact of mood elevation is that if stress is nipped at the bud, for everyone in the world, it could enable a truly equal society where you may own $1 billion, I may own 10 rupees, but we are all pleasurable and happy through our own brains and doing it in a very proven through a very proven technology, right? So let's make humans elated and delighted through the brain and completely alleviate stress scientifically through cutting-edge brain modulation technology and scale it to 120 million people by 2029. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shankar, for that very crisp presentation, and all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting fireside chat between 2 very interesting gentlemen who have a lot of varied experience, and they're going to dive into their experience and share insights with us that we as founders can use. Let me quickly bring back in Mr. Mahesh, General Partner of Pontaq, who is virtually joining us from London. He's back with us again. And we're also very fortunate to have with us Mr. Dinesh Pai, Head of Rain Matter, who's joining us right now, that too virtually. Mr. Dinesh, along with the Rain Matter Climate Initiative, also heads Rain Matter FinTech Investments and takes care of business operations at Zerodha as well. He is also joining us virtually. Can I have both the gentlemen here on the screen, please? Good afternoon, Mr. Mahesh. Welcome back. Good afternoon, Mr. Dinesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Very well.
Hey, nice to be here, and thanks again for inviting us. I think Mahesh has been in touch as well, so great to be here. I'm happy to share any insights possible.
Thank you, Dinesh, and wonderful to have you. And it's great to actually have you, who has actually had extremely great track record. This is actually one of the rarest of rare companies, which is a unicorn. which is Zerodha and also making profit, right? I think nowadays, I think unicorn and profit is actually an oxymoron. But here's a role model of a company which is doing extremely well. And Dinesh, as was mentioned, is the head of Rainmatter and also takes care of business operations at Zerodha. I think many of you are the customers of Zerodha. I am as well, and so is my daughter. So they cut across generations of people. They democratized share purchase in India, and the technology they use is awesome. I should actually admit that Zerodha has actually done something phenomenal for the capital markets by enabling every person to go digital. Thank you so much for that.
No, thanks again, Mahesh, for your kind words. It's really humbling. Yeah.
And Dinesh handles research and review of projects and organizations and opportunities. He hails from an agricultural family. That's very interesting, and maybe touch on this. And his drive to work for the environment emanates from his family roots and his younger days growing up in rural India, which is also applicable to me because I grew up in a small southern town called Thanjavur. And he's passionate about safeguarding livelihoods, most at risk due to human activities in commodities around us. So, Dinesh, would you like to actually talk a little more about your starting point and where you are today, please?
Right. No, thanks again. So, I'll probably keep my introduction very short because I think you probably touched upon everything that I wanted to probably share. But, I come from Udupi, which is a very small town in Karnataka. I grew up here and I went down to Bangalore to do my engineering way back in 2010. Graduated in 2014, joined a hedge fund in Hyderabad, worked for a couple of years, did my MBA in Canada. I worked in Canada for a couple of years, and I'm back here in India now. And it's always been an ambition to work for startups in India, and I always had Zerodha in my mind as a company that I probably should work for. So, I'm happy to be where I am today. I think in terms of what I do at Zerodha, I think you touched upon business operations. I think all of us at Zerodha, I think, we're still in that startup mindset, right? So most people probably wear multiple hats throughout the year and throughout the day as well. So I think Rainmatter is something that I take care of in terms of fintech and climate, and also of business operations at Zerodha, mostly customer support and customer experience, etc. But in terms of Rainmatter, I think, as you rightly touched upon, I think one of the ambition has been to democratize capital markets, right? And not democratize in the sense push people to do wrong decisions, but at least make it accessible for people and make it simpler for people to make decisions, etc. So I think that's what we've been doing through Zerodha. Rainmatter has been an extension to what we've done at Zerodha, right? So in terms of Rainmatter fintech investments, you'll see Small Case, Digio, Learn App, Wiko, etc. So all of these are ancillary services to us. Most of them are integrated on Kite as well. So I think which is our trading platform basically. And with Rainmatter Climate, I think that's an initiative that Nitin and Kailash have been thinking about for multiple years now. And it only came to fruition maybe a couple of years ago when, we kind of focused all of our CSR efforts, all of our CSR funding towards climate change. I think, that's one pressing problem that's facing us right now. You see all the effects around us as we speak. I don't think it's a future. I think it's here. So I think, we're happy that we're doing our bit. I think there's lots more to be done. I think, we're a very small land in this world trying to do a lot. But again, with a lot more people, a lot more passionate people in this space, in the climate space, I think, over the next few years, hopefully we'll try to bring some impact. But that's me. I'm happy to delve deep into anything that you find interesting.
Absolutely great. I think people should know that Rainmatter as an investment arm as well as Rainmatter Foundation is an initiative by the team behind Zerodha, India's largest stock broking firm, full stop. Right? So now we actually come for a very interesting question. So you decide to invest in a fintech. So what criteria do you use to filter companies and how do you choose them?
Right. So, first of all, we're not really a conventional VC firm. So when I talk about investment, I think, Nitin's also kind of has spoken about this multiple times. I think we look at this as a giving back initiative for the founding community, for the startup community in India. Zerodha has had a lot of success, and all of that is due to our clients, right? I think everybody else in the audience and whoever has probably interacted with us probably know that, they've contributed to our success. And we kind of know, some of that has to go back to the community, right? Because as a business, we've generated a lot of cash, but I know it's not really needs of the business. So I think it's got to go towards people, got to go towards community. So I think that's one bit that we're thinking about always when we're looking at investments. There are always other things that we always look at from a conventional investment perspective, where we look at the founders, we look at the team, we look at the idea, how genuine is the problem per se, and if at all on the fintech side, if the idea is helping people manage money better, and helping people bring them into the capital markets fold, right? Because the demat penetration in India, the SIB penetration in India, the mutual funds penetration in India is quite low. And I think Nitin recently put out also the market segment is also not that high, because most of our populations are not in tier 1, tier 2 cities, right? Because they're in tier T3 or 4, tier 5, tier 6 cities, etc. So I think that's been the ambition with Rainmatter as well. As in, we're trying to bring more and more people into this fold where we can help them manage money, and then in the long term, I know they can at least be very relaxed about their financial situation. So I think that's been the ambition with Rainmatter FinTech. And that's how we evaluate companies. If there are companies who are thinking about this in the right way, we don't do a lot of lending related investments, right? Because we don't really understand unsecured lending. We feel we're not really good for some of adding value to some of those companies as well. So and that's how we make some of the decisions. And we like founders, we like people who are tech driven, because essentially that's what comes down to, right? In this modern world, I think this in-person selling, I think probably works for a few sectors, but I think in fintech, I think it's mostly digital. So I think that's also a core factor. So there are a lot of bunch of subjective things or parameters that we probably consider. But again, the most important one is the passion and the rationale behind why a startup is doing what it's doing. And if we kind of associate with it, and if it's a cool startup, cool founders, we kind of.
Excellent, and that's wonderful. Those startup founders who are actually listening in, and please take note at Pontaq, we actually align with that. And I think at the end of the day, you can remember it like 5 T's, right? So the thought, the spark of an idea, the team, which is very important, right? And then we can actually look at the total addressable market, technology, and traction. I think the traction comes later, but everything else has to be there first. And that's a very way of actually telling thanks for that. And what's your advice if you actually say how the startups can scale, Dinesh?
So I think scale is a factor of what you do from the ground up, right? I think scale is not something that you can turn up one day and say today we're going to scale. I think the focus on products, focus on people, focus on the problem you're solving. I think eventually you'll reach a stage where you'll want to do more, and you'll want to do different segments, want to launch different products, and also want to scale with number of people, number of clients. But I think it can't really happen overnight. I think that's one of the thing that has been made very fancy over the past couple of years. Right? Startups have to grow fast. Startups have to reach a certain valuation. I don't think we align with that. I think Zerodha has taken 10 years, mind you, to actually reach where it's today. So starting from 2010 to all the way up until 2020, we had about 4 to 5 million clients. I think from 2020 to up until now, we have 10 million clients. So, we've doubled our client base in a couple of years. Whereas for that first 10 years, I think, nobody probably looks at the work that has gone on from Nitin, Kailash, and some of the other leaders across the company, right? So I think, it's been honest hard work. And there is no substitute for hard work, as people say, and it's not a cliche. I think it works for the startup world as well. I think there's a lot of hustle, but I think with scale, I think the only advice that I can give, because I have not really built a business, but from what I've seen from other founders, I think is that you've got to be mindful about the customers that you're dealing with, interact with them from day one, identify issues, and then go from there. I think once you have that product market fit, which is again a cliche, I think it's mostly saying once your customer enjoys your product, I think that's when you got to think about scale. But I think that will happen naturally once you do all the other foundational bits correct. I think scaling will happen naturally.
Wonderful. That was actually very nicely put. I think it's the product market fit. It's not the valuation. Focus on the value is what we heard from Dinesh. Yeah? So that's beautifully articulated. But it's also that fact that at least in 2021, there was a lot of push towards customer acquisition, and the top line was more important. Even GMV was actually used as one of the parameters to evaluate a company. And I think profit is, at the end of the day, is the most important element how a company should be measured in a way, right? So for the stakeholders involved as well. So what's your advice to the startups on where to focus? And they are startups, they have to scale. And so should they actually allow some customer acquisition to happen before profit kicks in? What's the right kind of combination? It's not an easy question, but I just wanted your advice.
No, absolutely. I think that's a very genuine question. I'm sure most of the startup founders in the audience probably have this question. So I think again, as you rightly pointed out, it's very tricky. It depends from business to business. It depends from segments of product to different segments of product, because a lot of companies can bootstrap, a lot of companies cannot bootstrap. I think there's some companies which need marketing, there are some companies which do not need marketing. So there's no one size fits all in this question at all in terms of the answer. But in terms of how you look at this business building, right? I think there's got to be some inkling of path to profitability from the get-go. I think this whole notion, I think what's happened for the past 3 to 4 years of this venture capital industry, right? I think it's that you raise money. I think that feels like a success, but a lot of people don't tell people and founders that money in the bank is one problem. Problem starts there. How do you build from there? How do you deploy it? Because there's a lot of thing and a lot of work that goes after that. Because once you have money, you can't really complain about not having money, right? That part is done. So you got to now build and actually scale and probably get customers. But in terms of marketing, etc., I think it depends from business to business. There are certain businesses which can do without marketing. Word of mouth is a great source of customer acquisition, right? And a lot of businesses do that. But I think there are some businesses where there are incumbents already in the space, where marketing will have to be done for people to know your brand, people to know your value proposition, etc. And that has to be done. But splurging on marketing, hoping that will bring you product market fit, I don't think that's the way to go, because eventually all those foundation bits that I answered in the second question, that needs to be laid down for you to then focus on marketing, etc. But yeah, that part to profitability and looking at cash flows is very important. I know I'm talking about conventional businesses here, not really startups, but that's the world that we're living in right now, I guess. But without that free cash flow, without having that idea about burn rate, having that idea about revenue, etc., becomes very difficult 2 to 3 years down the line, where you suddenly have to now switch to revenue and profitability when an investor is asking. So I think it's very important to have those initial ideas. But again, it depends from business to business. So it's very subjective. And as hopefully there are mentors and founders who probably have other guide or people who can guide them, etc., on this journey. But yeah, it's very subjective.
Absolutely correct. And I agree with you, Dinesh. I think it's a very valuable point for the founders in the audience. See, the most important thing is actually to understand unit economics. I think if you are actually not understanding unit economics, then you should not be doing business. So every technology entrepreneur as well has to understand the basics of management, accounting, finance, so on and so forth. As was mentioned, go-to-market is very important, but don't splurge. And we are not living in a world of free cash flow anymore. So as much as you can conserve cash, please make note of this. And I think it was Alan who actually mentioned that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. So cash flow is very important. And the more you actually focus on cash flow as an entrepreneur, the better you are actually going to succeed. So moving on to the next question from here, and you have B2C, B2B2C customers, and how do you differentiate between them, and how do you actually approach that?
So, we don't really have any kind of model around B2B, B2C, B2B2C, etc. Right? I think for us, the idea is to look at the problem that the startup is solving. Now, irrespective of the startup is solving problems for customers directly or to other businesses, doesn't really matter for us. But from what I've seen generally, I think B2B businesses are fairly easier, right? If you're thinking about SaaS and some of the other things, because basically, I think you can have to sell to fewer businesses for you to have actually traction, because there are a lot of employees within a company probably that will be using your tools, etc. But if you go B2C, I think there's a lot of masses that you'll have to sell your product to. So I think that's the only differentiating factor that I can look at. But there are a lot of trends around how marketing needs to be done, how you need to think about products, and how you think about some of the workflows in terms of development, etc. But all of that is, I think, secondary. I think, as I said, I think the primary bit that people really have to focus on, irrespective of they're selling to other businesses or selling to other customers or selling to, directly to people on the ground, etc. I think it's just that what problem they're solving and how well they're solving it, and will they be relevant in the next 5 to 10 years, right? I think that's the only question that they'll probably have to answer. And once they find out the answers to those questions, I think it'll become very easy, irrespective of the selling to businesses or customers directly.
Wonderful. And one more question I have on this context is about what kind of trends do you foresee, especially in the fintech, in an investment opportunity, but also there's a lot of changes that are happening. I'm seeing it in London now, and everywhere there's a tap and pay, and there's going to be regulatory changes. The neobanks are actually. So, what's the key trends that you foresee?
You know, there are a lot of things that's happening right now, right? So, in India, around banking, there's a lot of stuff happening around the account aggregator system. So, that's one thing that's at top of my mind in terms of, what's going to change over the next few months and years, right? Because, account aggregator kind of brings all your financial portfolio into under one banner, basically. I think you'll see everything under one screen. And I think that's very important for Indians as well as people around the world. Open banking is something that people have been talking about in the US and in Europe for quite some time. And I think that's going to come to India as well over the next few months. And right now we're in a pretty bad bull market. I think there's lots of stuff happening in the US markets as well as crypto markets, etc. So a lot of leverage is going out of the system, which is quite healthy for the financial system altogether. And now I think we see the trends of people wanting that advice about what they want to do with their portfolios, right? I think for the past few years, or at least couple of years since the pandemic, I think people have become gung-ho about investments. I think people have gone out and said, I know what my friends are doing, I'm going to do the same, so probably we'll have the same results, etc. But, I think that has not worked out well for a lot of people as well. So I think now you see trends, people where, wanting some advice, wanting that advisory bit, people will be willing to pay for that as well, I think, in this atmosphere. So I think those are some of the things. I think, there are a lot of other trends in terms of, credit card usage in India, where there's a lot of room for that to grow. Insurance penetration in India, where there's a lot of room for that to grow. I think focus on health needs to be very important. I think one of our portfolio companies, Ditto, is actually doing work around that, where they're trying to help explain customers all the terms in a health insurance policy, right? Because when you buy a health insurance policy, nobody really actually tells you what's in the health insurance policy, right? As in, yeah, so when I kind of met the Ditto team as well, I had no idea what my health insurance policy had in its terms and conditions. So I think these are some of the things that will grow over the next few years, because I think more and more Indians are getting access to internet, more and more Indians are getting access to education, and I think that will only improve the set of customers that some of these fintech firms can actually acquire as well. But yeah, in all, I would like to see at least things that can help people manage money better, manage their lives better, keep them more healthier and happier. I think as a country, that's how we can see, part to profitability, part to growth, increased GDP, etc., etc. I think if we take care of our people, and that has to happen through startups, right? Because incumbents are always there, but I think startups will have to now start to focus on people. That's how they'll generate brand loyalty. And I think once that's done, I think more and more people will come towards that. I think those are some of the trends that I foresee. I know there are a lot more that I haven't probably touched upon, but I think these are some of the things that probably will happen in the next few months.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think this is fascinating, and I think what you said is absolutely true. I think the open banking, as we actually implemented in India, called the NBFC account aggregator, is a change, because you are no longer actually tied to a bank for actually accessing your data, and that's going to be a very different approach. And the digital or neo banks is going to be the future, and the payment system directive 2 in UK and Europe has been there for some time. But I'd say that India has been an innovator in fintech thanks to entrepreneurs and organizations like NPCI that introduced RuPay and UPI for that matter. I'm actually fascinated about the UPI, but more to come, I should say. I think fintech, we are actually seeing the cusp of a growth now. And wonderful conversation, Dinesh. Thank you so much for your time and participation again. We at Pontaq are grateful for your insights, which will help not just our portfolio, but everybody in general. And thank you once again, Dinesh.
Oh, thanks again, Mahesh, and thanks for having me. Cheers.
Yes.
So after that really engaging conversation, let's move on to the valedictory address. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver this, I would like to call on stage someone who not only has an experience of 4 decades across senior multinational businesses, across global banks and consumer companies, but is also known to have created numerous iconic brands like Taj Mahal Tea and Citibank cards. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Global Advisory Board Member of Pontaq and current Chairman of IDFC First Bank, Mr. Sanjeev Chaudhary. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. There was a lot to learn today, and I enjoyed every moment of it, right from the first session. I had the privilege of speaking to many of the founders, during the breakout sessions and in the adjoining room. I think there is a lot of positive energy that I experienced, for which I'm very thankful. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to be in a team like this, as part of an event like this, where you have a phenomenal collection of great minds, very young minds who are doing great things. A lot of them women, which is fantastic, which I'll never forget, 41%. And it should be more than 50, according to me. And the other good thing is that we have had a gathering where you've had a collection of investors who have had the opportunity to experience firsthand the passion and the energy and the innovation of our portfolio companies, and therefore develop opportunities for them to grow faster. The presentations were crisp, they were to the point. I was telling someone that it's a much better version than what Mohan and I see in the UK of Dragon's Den, where guys make a pitch and it is, it's nowhere near that. It's sophisticated, people are very clear how much they want, what do they want it for, and what they have achieved, and what are their ambitions. I know tomorrow there will be some great sessions happening in terms of specific actions that can be taken at an individual level in closed door sessions, which is fantastic again. And I commend Prem and the Pontaq team for putting together this very, very outstanding program, in my opinion. I've visited many programs over the years. As you can hear from my introduction, I'm an old guy in a very young audience. And I can tell you, Mohan looks old, but that doesn't mean that he is. So she said 4 decades, so that's a lot of time. But over the years, I've had the privilege of visiting many such, gatherings, and this is fantastic. So thank you all for a very, very exciting day, and congratulations to you, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjeev, for that. As earlier mentioned, we at Pontaq are extremely grateful for the continued support of STPI. Now I would like to invite on to stage someone who's heading Pan-India startup initiatives of Software Technology Parks of India, including establishment of domain-specific centers of excellence in emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, AR, VR, etc. That's Shri Subodh Sachin, MD and CEO, STPI Next, Director, STPI HQ.
Thank you. And once again, warm good evening to everyone. It's always pleasure to come and interact with the great minds which we have. Chairman Dr. Mohan Kaul, Prem, very good friend of mine, Sanjeev, who was speaker before me, and also I think DG has to go because of pressing meetings, but Shri Arvind Kumarji, who's Director General STPI. Friends, this is always an honor, privilege, as well as satisfaction, right? When we come and see these kind of events, where we see what we have nurtured over the last 1.5 years, and we see the nurturing getting into the reality. In fact, while I was hopping, from one meeting to another, I was on the way to this meeting. I just tweeted, which I said, sometimes, we feel really great when we see the team STPI has been able to match your ambitions, bring forward the encouragement in the form of not just the, our support at our centers, which has probably you have interacted with, but also all the form of mentoring program. And the most important part is the funding part, where I think Prem and Team Pontaq has been able to do a great, fantastic job. So it's good to see 48 startups, in this small room here. And I'm sure in the next meeting when we meet, such interactions, this room will be small enough. And if I'm told there is a wall behind it, there's a curtains behind it, so this room can grow. So basically, it is just to say that, we have more appetite, We would like to get more number of startups. We'd like all of you to become very, very successful. I think when I was interacting with one of the startups in the morning today, I told them it's a great feeling to be part of your journey, right? When you reflect this time 2 years, 3 years down the line, right, and you reflect probably this event has made some impact, I think that is when we will be very satisfying to all of us, including Prem and Team Pontaq, right? So this is the beginning of the journey. This is probably one pitch stop, right? One pitch stop from where we started 1.5 years back. Let me also tell you, the scheme, Next Generation Incubation Scheme, I'm very, very ably supported by whole of my team. Probably some of members are sitting here, some are not in this room today. But within STPI, within the NGIS scheme, today as we stand, we have selected 252 startups. And let me share a fact that 72% of them are coming from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, right? We have believed, we had a strong belief when we were starting, the scheme. The scheme, I still remember, probably you would not believe, right? It took us almost 1.5 years, right, to convince, some stakeholders, especially the decision makers, right, that there is a need for this scheme, right? So Prem talked about his journey from the fact of starting it up, right, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of investors, in terms of investment as a field. But when we think back, right, when we think from the scheme perspectives, it always, a lot of work which goes behind to create schemes like this. But the schemes are schemes. Once they turn into reality, the reality which is right in front of me right now, that's when we get a very satisfying factor. So once again, it's a privilege to be part of this this session today. Wonderfully organized pitch day. And I'm sure for a lot of you, it should be imbibed in their memory, right? Because what you have done today in terms of either a showcase, either in the terms of networking, or either in terms of probably taking back some learnings, right? I know there were some pitch sessions today, but let me tell you, I've heard each of your pitch from day one, right? All the 18, 19 or 20 startups which have presented the pitch today, right? Because I had seen your first pitch and I've seen your today's pitch. There's a remarkable progress which you have made in your journey, and that is reflected in your story today, right? This is something really great. So take back that as a pat, right? You guys have grown a lot, right, in last 1.5 years or so. So, have strong backing in terms of what you are thinking forward to, right? I think I have been an entrepreneur in my journey earlier, right? If you have a strong belief in what you're doing, at the same time you're open to ideas, open to learning from others, right? I think that's what the key for the success is. Some of you might have struggled, in terms of getting the convergence for getting the first check. I still remember some of you, I think Krishikati is sitting here somewhere, right? I still remember talking to Tukaram, right? Convincing him, right? This is not a grant. This is an investment, right? It's important that you treat this as an investment. It's important that you see the value of this money, right? It's important that, sometimes I'm sure team may be hard on you, right? We are there to ensure the gap gets closure, right? We are there for convergence always, right? I'm open, my team is open to listen to any criticism, right, in terms of scheme. We are there to learn, we are there to improve upon, and the government does not, and at least in position which I am sitting right now, we are very, very open to the feedbacks, right? If there's any improvement which can be done, we are more than open to bring such improvements, right? But at the same time, we want each of you to be flexible also, be adaptable as well. Learn from your ecosystem. Today in this room, if we have people sitting from UK, Dr. Paul, Sanjeev, a lot of others, you heard, a lot of people. I'm sure, my vision, in fact, when we were discussing very early, I said, why UK, why not US, why not, East, especially the new markets, right? It's important that the global markets open for you, but at the same time, the Indian market is already a market which is, worth tapping for, right? So each one of you, get into the product story now, get into the market, improve upon, And I think take the learning from the first. Your product might initially fail in the market, but take the learning forward. Don't have a fear of any hesitation in terms of that you don't want to hit the market out right now. You need further improvements in the product. I think improvements in the product is a continuous journey, right? So please, each of you, important that you hit the market. At the same time, have innovation, have an IPR-driven approach. Do not get into the fact that you're creating sometimes it happens that we are trying to assemble things up, we are trying to create things up, we become system integrators, right? I've seen the industry, I've been part of the industry, right? But that will give you initial high, but will not be a long-term satisfying journey. So as an individual, as a founders, this is a passion, that's why you're in this room. You're not here just for yourself, you're here for your dreams. So ensure that your dream gets follows with the actions, and whatever work we have to do within STPI or within Pontaq, I think we're always there to support you. This is just the beginning of the long journey and successful journey. So with those words, thank you, and thanks a lot.
Do we have this up? So ladies and gentlemen, with that we come to the end of this very, very memorable day. There's been just so much to learn from each of you, from your presentations, your stories, the passion that was just so reflected in each of your presentations, the indomitable spirit that you all have shown throughout facing the challenges, in setting up your startups, and of course your eagerness to learn more and keep growing more. Now we at Pontaq, we promise that we're going to be back with a much bigger, grander Pontaq portfolio day next year, adding more members to the Pontaq family. And of course, the celebrations are going to continue even in the evening, so we look forward to hosting you at the British High Commission for cocktail reception at 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us and making this so special. Thank you.